Well, hello everybody. Not planting, it's May 9th, about 10:34 at night. And got a couple things I want to talk about this evening. Yesterday was one of them days, didn't get a lot done. Today I seem to be getting alright. I didn't get started till 4 o'clock, so we had some sprinkles today and put me out of commission for a while. And I'm going to plant tonight till I run out of fertilizer, which will hopefully get this field done. It isn't very big. I should hopefully be done by about midnight or a little before, a little after, and go home. And then, I'd like to talk about, the first thing I'd like to talk about, I guess, I'm going to talk about and tell everyone thanks for subscribing to my channel here. I really didn't think I was going to get many subscribers. I didn't realize how interesting my life would be to other people and the things that I'm doing and the things that I yabber and jabber about. But anyhow, needless to say, I appreciate every single one of you guys that subscribe or watch my channel. And I just hit 500 subscribers here the other day, and I think I'm up to about 520 now already, and it seems like we're really growing, so that's always fun. But love the interaction with you guys. Keep commenting, everybody, and I know there's some of you guys that comment on almost every video, and that's awesome. But it is that time of year again. I'm awful behind on watching videos this last week, and when I do watch them, I haven't been taking very much time to comment, and I do apologize to you guys that comment on my stuff that I don't always comment back, but it's that time of year. I've been putting in some hours, so just running on very little sleep, and that's what that is. The second thing I'd like to talk about is a little bit about you know, the economics of farming here. I know the first thing I'm going to say about that is, well, let me start, I guess. We're going to say, you know, your neighbors always ask you, well, what'd your corn make? How much it yield? You know, how'd it do? And you know, that's all fun and games. Yeah, I got 150 bushel corn and 200 bushel corn, and you know, whatnot, and what have you, and whatever, and that's all great. But sometimes it costs more money per bushel to raise the better crop. And I'm not saying that's always the case, I'm just saying sometimes that is what happens. And this field's in strip, so it's real fun to do in the dark here, by the way. So it always, you know, changes. You know, you got to make sure you get your return on investment. You need to watch that. You know, if you spend $1, can you make $2? Or if you spend that same dollar on something else, can you make $3? Those ones that you spend $1 and you only make a penny, that dollar might be spent better off some other place, especially if you're on a limited budget. You know, another thing I want to say, you know, this farming deal, it ain't always about my yield compared to your yield. I would think it'd be better off looked at as your yield this year and your yield this coming year, or your previous year's yield. Hopefully you're trying to improve that. If you're sitting there and you're happy with what you're doing, if you got, say, 100 bushel corn and you're happy with 100 bushel corn, I guess that's your deal. But I myself, I really like to look at, you know, last year on my newly rented ground, I think I averaged like 130, I think, maybe, across the whole thing. But some of it I didn't do worth a darn. I had to replant half of it, and it was kind of a learning curve on that ground, and you know, just weather didn't cooperate like it should have, and you know, just things happen. But you know, I always think, you know, I'm hoping I can get better than last year and not spend much more money. The replanting deal last year cost me a bunch of money, and that wasn't very fun to do. I lost a lot of fertilizer because it all washed away when we got 4 inches of rain a day after I planted, and I had a lot of water sitting in my fields for a long time, and it was cold, and it just cost me an arm and a leg to do. So I'm hoping I can produce more corn on the same or less dollars than I did last year. So that's kind of that. Another thing I'd like to talk about is I started custom farming a little bit when I graduated high school. And it's going to age me a little bit, but that puts it at, I started custom farming about 07. So in 07 I started farming for one of our neighbors, you know, just a little bit, and they weren't wanting to put fertilizer on, but they really liked disking the ground because they wanted it so perfect seed bed and stuff. And I said, you know, why don't you just let me farm one field the way I want to farm it, and you farm one field the way you want to farm it, and then we'll see how it goes. And if you make more money on yours, I'll pay you the difference, and I won't charge you to plant it. And so we went on like that, and he farmed his how he wanted it farmed, and worked it twice or 3 times, and didn't want to put out the fertilizer and stuff. And you know, I planted no-tilled and put fertilizer down with my planter here. It wasn't this planter, it was an 8-row back then. And you know, lo and behold, I was farming his ground, and I ended up having 120 bushel corn that first year farming that ground for him. And on the ground that he kept to himself, he only got about 80 bushel, and he was happy with that. You know, he was tickled to death with, you know, 85 bushel corn or 80, until I was combining the field that I'd done, and it was 120. You know, now every year since prior then, he's went no-till. He felt that was well worth it. He's also started putting down a little bit more fertilizer, and he actually is not spending any more per acre than what he spent before. It's just we took some of the money from working the ground, and I re-allotted that to fertilizer expense. And he still had weeds, so he still had to spray and stuff in crop. So all I did was take some expense from disking the ground into more fertilizer, and then I started no-tilling, and now his yields are going up every year. And me myself, I feel that is a positive thing. Yields that can increase every year, except 2012, it was a drought. That's great. I mean, anytime you can improve your yield like that is just great. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here. The last thing I'm going to talk about, everybody, it's not all about how many acres you have or how many cattle you have in the yard. It's all about what is your bottom line at the end of the year. What did it cost you to farm those acres, and how much money did you put in the bank? Big time operators, sometimes it seems like they're doing good, but they have to spend money on very nice equipment, because other words, it won't work for them. It just will not work with them because they can't break down. If you're farming 10,000 acres, you better not break down. That's just how it is. And you know, it's rough, but that's just how it works. I'm farming here with some equipment that's not bad, but some people have a lot better, and it don't matter. This equipment works for me, and Joe Blow down the road might have a nicer planter, but this planter's bought and paid for. And I like going to bed at night knowing that I don't have a big machinery bill that I've got to worry about. I was going down a different strip, so hopefully that wasn't too shaky. Had to look where I'm at. So anyhow, I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about to everybody. If you can make more with what you got, sometimes you're better off. You can start saving 10-20 cents a day a head on cattle and not feeding them. I know some people like to haul feed to cattle. I myself like to haul the cattle to the feed. I know I do still dry lot stuff out our yard, but that is just how it works, because that's how it is. But I would really like to get away. And in the wintertime, I can't wait to get cattle on pasture. And 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to count, see how many of them I will go every time. I can't wait to get cattle on pasture and not have to worry about feeding them every day. We feed one load in the morning now and a couple loads to the cows that we don't have on rye, but the ones that are out grazing themselves are doing pretty good, and it's a lot cheaper to feed them per day than the ones we got to start the tractor up and drive the feed wagon around and whatnot. So that's that. But I'm pretty sure I jambered on enough. I kind of highly doubt anybody's gonna actually make it this far. So I guess if you do make it this far, cheers to you. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for commenting, and I guess we'll see you on the next one. Have a good night. Bye.